Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while. I am Kathy Grimm and this is my channel, The Grimm Reader. The last video I made, according to what I'm looking at here, is it was for the class, for my fairy tale class. The first class was canceled, or maybe it was the second class on Wednesday. I don't know which one. One of them was canceled. And then, so I just decided to do slides as a kind of, to keep us on the schedule, the syllabus, because it's like, you know, you have a set thing that you want to do every day. You all know that. And so, yeah, it's been a while. And I would say in general, the heading of this one is going to be, well, it's probably just going to be Cats, Life and Books. But it's sort of like life is lifing. Life has been lifing. I know that doesn't make a lot of sense, but let's see where to start. First of all, if I seem kind of weird, I am once again on steroids, which always kind of make me hyper, and it's hard for me to settle down. And because of my big toe, I have inflammation all over my body in all different places. And the go-to is a steroid pack, and I like them. They do help with the pain, but they also make you feel weird and they make you want to eat more. And I'm glad so far I've never had to go on them for a long amount of time. These are just a weekly pack, and it will calm everything down. And it helps with a lot of the other inflammation. So it's good. I think it is a fairly good intervention for what I need. And I actually kind of like the fact that it perks me up a bit, because the semester has really been rough. Just the good news is I haven't gotten sick like I did, like in the fall. I was very sick I don't even know how I made it through there. But this time I'm just kind of struggling. I was struggling with aches and pains and tiredness. And every Wednesday would come along after teaching a class every day, 2 classes on one day and then 1 class on the other day. And I would think, is it Friday? It feels like Friday. And it's because I used to only teach Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I always had Tuesday, Thursday to recoup and prep and be at home and be my comfy zone. And when you have to teach every day, however much it's only 1 class, you have to get up and go and do it. And so that just adds a whole other level of fatigue to my semester life. And so I'm glad it is kind of like, so far it hasn't been sort of fun and joyous and easygoing and relaxed, because it's the last semester. It's the same old, it's work. And it's partly me not being able to just kind of see it as fun. It's hard for me. I just want to do a good job. And it is fun. I can't do it in a way that doesn't overtax my system in a certain sense. But I think I'm sort of, getting into a better rhythm. You can sort of see that by the fact that I'm actually making this video. I mean, up until now, I just haven't had the energy or the time to do so. And it's just still going to be a very messy video. And I can tell it's sort of this thing where in my head, I have all these plans for the channel and for my life. And who knows what will happen to these plans. I mean, hopefully I will sort of be able to kick it up a notch in terms of planning and even sort of in-depth of analysis and type of stuff, because I won't have that much else go on my plate. But yeah, we'll have to see how the channel evolves, and I'm committed to it to a certain degree. Now and then I get these emails from people who insist that I have great content, but that they could help me make it better and hustle and get a better rankings. And of course, I hate that. I hate the idea of, and I'm not interested in doing the channel for any kind of money reasons. It's really just a fun way to get the word out about what I'm doing, and me, I guess, too, a little bit. It's fun, but it's not at all connected to, I don't know, what's the word, a career or anything, or even just pocket money. I mean, I don't need it. And so, yeah, I don't know. It's funny how that works. 4 minutes of rambling. So the big news. So I've been tired. That's the first thing, and I'm struggling, but I'm fine. And then what happened was, in terms of cats, Mr. T is doing great on 3 legs. he's quite, it's funny how he sits in this different way now. But our poor Shirley, one of the black kitties, the sisters, we have two black kitties that were found by the side of the road. Their mother had been killed, run over, and a vet tech found three of them, the two girls and their brother, who was black and white and who got adopted very quickly. And then the two girls were in this cage when we went to visit them one day at the vet. And they said to us they really would like to keep them together because they're so bonded. And I'm so glad that we just took both of them in. And for a long time, we were wondering about what to name the two sisters. And we came up with Laverne and Shirley because we're old. And it's a fun kind of, even though they weren't really sisters. And in a certain sense, they are kind of like Shirley's sort of sweet. I don't know the show that well, actually. It wasn't one that I watched, but Bill knew it. And I know a little bit about it. Shirley's sort of sweet and caring, and Laverne's crazy. She's wacky. And as far as I know from the show, that fits. But anyway, poor Shirley we've noticed for a while now that she's lost weight. And so we decided finally to take her in, and we got the blood test back last Thursday, I think. Yeah, and then it was very, very clear that she's diabetic. Her glucose was very high. And so that meant a whole new way of interacting with poor Shirley. We ran around and got all the stuff. And then we went in on Friday after everything in the evening to have Bill learn how to put the needle in and give her 2 insulin shots a day. I mean, I sort of feel I should learn how to do it too, but for now I'm too stressed, and he's sort of like the home person. So he's doing it, and we do a good job, and she's pretty okay with getting the shots. She was still getting antibiotics for a cold, and she hated it. She didn't like the pill as much, but that's gone. And the other funny thing about diabetic cats these days, if you know, you know, maybe it's the same with dogs, they get the same kind of sensor that you can put in a human. And so now I have an app on my phone, and it's all about Shirley's glucose numbers, which have been a true roller coaster, up and down and up and down. And this morning, for the first time, she went down to where I had to knock on Bill's door and say, do we have to call the vet even though it's Saturday? Because you're afraid if they go down too far that they become hypoglycemic and just kind of like a faint or get a seizure or just kind of get very lethargic. Well, she seemed fine, even though she was in the 80s, so under 100. And if it had gone down even more, I would have had to call. But it stayed very low for her. This is shockingly low after she'd been in the 300s, And so, and now it did kind of go up again. It's again too high, but it's in the 200s. And for her, too high for a cat. I mean, 3-4 is high. I guess the normal is between 80 and 150. I don't know exactly the numbers, and I think there is some caution to be said that this is a human sensor in a cat. They're just taking the same, and that the numbers probably don't relate or correlate the same way. So tell me if you've had any experiences with diabetic pets. It's a whole thing. And we hope that she gets better and goes into remission. I mean, we are planning our trip to Germany where both of us are going, but one of the cat people we contact, he's good. I think he could probably give her the shot if it had to be. It's kind of like harder to leave a cat behind who needs shots. Injections is what I'm saying. So that's been an added stressor, and that's life. It's like life is lifing. Poor Shirley is diabetic, so we have a diabetic cat. We have a cat with 3 legs. So let's see what else life holds for us. But you just keep going. You have to keep going, and it's all fine. And so because of that, my reading has been very sort of strange and erratic, and has not been happening much. But let me show you what I'm working on. I don't think I have to talk about anything that I've finished. Well, one set of books, I have to figure out the last name. It's the Danish one. It's a very Kathy book. It's this sort of secret bestseller, The Calculation of Volume, I think it's called in English. I think it's a different name in Danish. Calculation Volume. Yeah, here we go. Solveig Balle. And I'm listening to it, and I'm not exactly sure. I mean, I think it's lovely. I love it. But but it is sort of like confounding. And the premise of the book is that this lady becomes stuck on the 18th, like Groundhog Day. She repeats the 18th of November every day. and she's in it, and she's sort of living forward into her future, but she's always waking up on the 18th. And so there's all these sort of like, you keep kind of, in this first volume especially, you are combative with the way that, well, why doesn't she do this? Why doesn't she do that? And the parameters of this being stuck in time are interesting, such that if she tells her husband a number of times, but the problem is that so let me see if I can do it. So they wake up together on the 18th, and it's always a new 18th for him because he hasn't had the 18th. He's not stuck in time. And so she has to re-explain to him again and again what is going on. And of course, what does he make of that? And so every day, imagine if your partner says, well, I don't know what's the date, the 14th, it's Valentine's Day, happy Valentine's Day. So Bill would say, I had the 14th yesterday or something. I don't even know exactly how. Yeah, and the thing is that, so the partner always forgets. And so that leads to a forced kind of quickly a distancing between the two, because it's tiresome to always have to explain. And it's also tiresome by the fact that how much does the partner actually believe what you're saying. Now, there are other things that she can do. She finds all this way to live in the 18th. She can, for example, go into houses and just not worry about if people are going to come back, because it's only one day for everyone else, except it's her every day, if that makes sense. And then an anxiety thing that happens for her, which I guess I understand, is that if she goes shopping in the same places, because she's always buying the same thing on the same day, the store will run out of it. Or a menu a soup on a menu will go away because she's the one always consuming it. So she becomes quite obsessive about her footprint, so to speak, in terms of what she's eating and drinking. And of course, me as someone who doesn't mind traveling and who grew up far away, I'm like, well, first thing you're doing is you hop on a plane because she has money, because the money it keeps coming back because it's the 18th, and you cross the date line. So why doesn't she do that? And then the only explanation is that she doesn't like to fly. I'm like, well, but this is kind of like, what would happen if she tried to sort of circumvent the 18th completely by crossing the date line and fly to Fiji? Maybe it's going to come up. I'm on volume 2, I think, 3, and there are 7. I think I'm on 2 still, or I think I'm on 2. And so it's wacky and it's interesting, and there are things I still sort of think. So one main question I have that may be resolved or not. So if she's stuck on the 18th and he's not, and he goes to the 19th and the 20th like a normal person, where is she there? Is there a version of her in the future? And so is she double? Does anyone know? So that's one of my main questions right now, is like, if he's just moving on with his life like everyone else is, and she's just one of these strange, there are 2 others right now I've met. Sorry, my fingers are dirty because I'm been playing around with fountain pens and I'm a klutz. And so she's met 2 other people who are also stuck on the 18th. So I'm like, well, are they also in the future? Like the double time, like, is it a multiverse situation? So yeah, that's just one of the many. It's I'm listening to it on audio. I'm not reading it. It's perfect for that. It's perfect because it's not that hard to remember anything because the basic premise is there. And so you just kind of follow her through her. She travels a lot. She becomes obsessed with certain things. In the beginning, the night sky helps her, and astronomy. And then she becomes obsessed with the seasons and trying to travel around to recreate the seasons, which is kind of fun. So it's sort of meteorological stuff. And now she's sort of in a bit of a trough, and she does meet one other person. And there are 2 I was thinking, well, gang up and go to someone and try and explain it and see if having 2 people do it makes it more. But then that's still the issue of the next day he won't know. So I guess, and then she's done it quite smartly. If you write things down or use a computer and try to sort of keep a record, stuff disappears. That's another sort of theme of it all. Food disappears sometimes. Some things stay, some things don't. There's no rhyme or reason to what stays and what doesn't, which is really interesting, and you can't explain it. It's unexplainable. but so that's but it's an overarching explanation for why you can't just record something and say, you are going to forget this, but let me tell you this. The recording probably would just go away. Although they haven't tried it, but they don't seem to think of that. I would think of, well, sit down and write it or record it, and but have you both on tape, discussing it, and then he listens to it the next day, and then maybe like, that would be something you could try, and she hasn't tried that yet, as far as I can remember. So, but that's part of the fun of the book, is that you kind of combative with it. At least I am, because that's the way I am, especially when I'm on steroids. Anyway, so that's been going quite well. That's like the only one that's kind of a through line. And I'm going to do my typical awful thing of reaching over, because I never prepare, right? So let me show you the little bits give you sort of glimpses of what I've been trying to read. I've been also trying to sort of get back on that Kindle, just because I think it might help me with sleeping, because sleeping is always an issue with me. And, well, one book I kind of dip into again and again is Toni Bernhard, How to Live Well with Chronic Illness, because she's really good about it. She has really good tips, and she has chronic fatigue, or she had it. I don't know how she's doing. And then there's a person on here. He's not popular at all, but I like him. He's sort of a 20th century kind of throwback to 19th century people who I like a little bit. And his name is Arnold Bennett. He wrote a lot. He was like a big popular writer back in the day. And I read one of his, and he was someone I was thinking, well, just read him, because he's sort of like sleep-inducing enough, but also kind of not sleep-inducing enough. He's interesting. He's a good writer, and it's plot-driven. I can give you more on him. He's from the sort of a pottery area in England, which I also kind of think is interesting. And I think he writes quite well. I listened to his other book, but I think he might be the perfect help Kathy fall asleep read, but that's just something there. The main book I have been slowly reading, very slowly, is Patrick White, The Writers in the Chariot, which is really, really good. I love this. This is fascinating, but it's very long, 600 pages, and I'm on page 149, and it's been weeks. Because, I've been reading bits and pieces here and there slowly, and it's just, it's a story about a group of people, I think, who are all at odds with the world around them because of the way they've been treated by the world. Like the first lady who takes place in Australia in the beginning, her name is Miss Hare, Hare, and she's very odd, but I do love her. She's been mistreated by her family because they think she's not good looking, she's ugly, she's sort of the quintessential ugly person. And she's little, she's sort of diminutive, and has, I think, strange red hair or something. But we see her in her old age, or everyone else is gone. She has memories of her past, of the mistreatment, which is all. It's not. It's just psychological mistreatment to a certain point. But her father's very mean to her. The first thing he says about her is, she remembers how he says, "Oh, she is an ugly one," or something like that, or. She quotes what he says. I can't find it. I'll do a better job of this one day. I'll sort of sit down. Oh, here we go. Who would have ever thought I should get a red girl? So red hair. By George, Eleanor, she is ugly, ugly. In front of her, of course, they say this. So that kind of dismissive. And he's an alcoholic, and she has an interesting relationship to him because she realizes he's that. And what's fascinating to me, and I love it, is that she has a very fine-tuned relationship to the space she's in and the natural world of the plants and the house that she's in, which kind of reminded me, I have to actually read it because I really have only seen the movie of Miss Havisham, so Great Expectations. She inhabits this house in that kind of way. And she has a bit of that anyway, because she's so alone, and no one's interested in her. And apparently through bits and pieces and the fact that she gets a weird housekeeper who comes in and is strange, we realize that the house is really, really falling apart. And to the point where trees are growing inside, almost like very strange house that's not well kept. But they live there, and it's a big house. It's a property, because the parents had inherited money, I think. And just now we've entered into a different world entirely, because she's met someone who apparently came out to Australia, and he's a Jewish man, and now we're kind of seeing his upbringing in this, I guess, fictional town in Germany. And I guess this is in the early 20th century. I'm trying to think what time period exactly. It reads almost older. Like, I'm reading the Jewish stuff, and it almost reminds me of, there are moments here that remind me of Radetzky Marsh by Josef Roth, specifically the father and the son's relationship to women. I will say no more. Anyway, but I'm just at the beginning of this other person, and his name is Mordecai. And so we're whisked away to Germany, and it's all done really well. And the writers, I had no clue, because I am not down with the Bible. Riders in the Chariot is a reference to Ezekiel and his vision of God. And I had to look it all up, and it's a fantastic vision with wheels and this angelic being with different animal heads. And I'm obsessed with it. And I just think it's amazing that he's incorporated he's a sort of mythologizer, or he's bringing out the mythology of the world through these strange people who have these visions of the riders in the chariot. Another person that the book slightly reminds me of is Recognitions by Gass. So not Gass. Well, hey, Gass. I'm sorry, Gaddis. I don't like William Gass. I'm sorry, because I read one book that I didn't care for, and I just don't like him as a person. I'm sorry. There are a lot of people that do. I think he's pompous and creepy, but Gaddis I like. And he wrote the Recognitions, and the sort of religious stuff, the wacky religious stuff too. It's a very different book because it's Australia. It's not America and Europe and Spain or Italy or wherever. It's so far Australia and now Germany. I just love it so much. And there are so much great quotes that I can give to you. I have earmarked a few pages because I haven't had time to do pretty little tabs. But anyway, that's just my off-the-cuff stuff about Riders in the Chariot. The other book that I had read, the only other book I've read, I started another one, but I didn't get into it that much, was Voss, and that was also excellent. He does have this interest in German heritage type stuff, and then connecting it to Australia, so it's like right up my alley, of course. And then I thought, well, it'd be nice to be able to read something shorter so that I can actually finish it. What's a short book that I can read? And of course, Kathy goes to Lispector, who she's not read a lot of, and always kind of flounders. I have to get into it more. I just have to have the brain space for her. And even this Hour of the Star, which I know will get good, it's just hard to sort of be with it and get a lot out of it when you just don't have energy to do so. I do think she's kind of one of these writers that you have to let work on you, and it's taking me a while for her to do her magic. I think it's really a thing of me, not her, though, and I will get into it. I started it, but I'm not sure. And then I kind of went back to Riders in the Chariot, back and forth. Yeah, and so I'm looking at, I have my book, Who's Who in the Bible, because of Ezekiel and the vision. It's fantastic. And then the last thing, I don't have much to say about this too, except I sort of, one evening a while ago, I had a rabbit hole, and it turned into a poetry rabbit hole, poetry. And I bought this long poem called Ark. Wow, do we sense a theme here? Huh. I don't think it's that biblical. No, well, it's also biblical because it's Ark. But it's by Ronald Johnson, who was a poet, sort of a West Coast poet, I think. It was copyright 2013, but I don't think he's around anymore. I'm sorry that I haven't done much research. Give me 1 sec. I'm gonna go do a little bit, and I'll be right back. Hello, I'm back. So I'm trying to. I sort of recreated the rabbit hole of why I bought this book of really long poem, and so Ronald Johnson, whose dates were 1935 to 1998, was born in Kansas but moved to San Francisco and became part of that whole culture. He was connected to founding a biker group, the Rainbow Cycle Club, a gay men's motorcycle club, and also he was a part of bear culture apparently. And so, but for me, it was when we come down here to his wiki article where it talks about him rewriting books of Paradise Lost. I'm like, interesting. And then just the way they described this work kind of, I thought was fascinating. The poem follows in the tradition of the American epic, a heritage once described as that, quote, strange, amorphous, anomalous, self-contradictory thing, the mythology of an ambitious and protean epic project, grand in creation and design, and beginning arguably with What Women's Leave of Grass, which I did read in school, and continued into the 20th century with other people, including all of them I'm kind of interested in. H.G.'s Helen in Egypt, Gertrude Stein, William Carlos William Patterson, Charles Olson, who's another one I'm sort of interested in, the Maximus poems. And so Arc stretches over time. It took him 20 years to write. The Poundian notion, Ezra Pound, who we won't talk about today, but I could, is a poem containing history to start all over again, constructing Arc based on the influence and structural guidance of architecture, which is another thing that fascinates me. And I think like the whole book, it has spires and beams and strange diagrams too. It's quite experimental, so it's another work that will take me the rest of my life to really kind of get into. But I want to get into a space where I can kind of engage with works like these, at least in a way that is enjoyable to me. I don't really care if I don't get all of it out of it, but to me, it's like the way I relate to poetry is, especially experimental poetry, especially book-length stuff, it's almost like it's you kind of just zone into what works for you and what you vibe with and what kind of messages you get out of it, and then you can kind of do some research if you want to, but it's an intuitive thing, which is what I like about poetry. At least that's how I approach it. I don't know if that makes sense, but anyway, that's a book that, and the thing is, I took it down to kind of have a peek at recently again, but I'm not going to have time to really get into it. One thing about him that you might find interesting is that he was also, aside from being a sort of experimental poet, a well thought of one, he was also well regarded author of cookbooks, including, quote, The Aficionado's Southwestern Cooking and, quote, The American Table. So these are cookbooks from the 80s. And so, interesting fellow. And since I do have this desire to read more poetry, of a certain type, and to have a kind of that part of my world of reading and living. I don't do it enough right now for time reasons. So anyway, yeah, that's about it. I'm sorry, this is going to be long, it looks like. And I haven't even said that much. I'm sorry, I'm just babbling. But it's been a life update about books, life, and cats. And we're in February. It's the 14th. I teach about until spring break. It's 25 classes. It's every day. It's still going to be rough for me. So I'm not sure, how regular the updates will be until. And then, of course, let me just give you a little bit of an overview of what's happening. So on the 18th of May, soon after school is out, we fly to Germany and I'm just going to tell you what's going on, because I don't think she watches my videos anyway. I know I have to be careful about privacy, but I think at this point, the invitations are out. So I hope she doesn't mind. My sister, my beloved sister, who has been with her partner for many, many years, finally got married to him. And officially they went to in German, it's a Standesamt. And that was in December. And they're having the big party in May. And so we're, of course, going to the big party, the big celebration, because, why not have a celebration? That's the reason. That's part of the fun of it all. And so that's the first trip. And then as all this was going on, we get a text from my cousin that he, at the end of June, so, she's doing her party at the end of May, is also getting married to his partner of 10 years. And I decided on a whim that because I'm retired, I'm going to come home for 3 weeks or so and be with the cats and then go back for his wedding too. Why not? And I've had the recent grandiose and probably not realistic idea of connecting the second trip to, because there's 2 direct flights from Cincinnati to Europe, and that way I can avoid having to go through customs and the immigration stuff in Chicago or New York. And if I fly to London, I can fly back to Cincinnati from London. So to kind of fly to London, stay there, and then fly to Germany for the wedding stuff, but actually not fly, take the train, take the Star, whatever it's called, the Star train from London to Frankfurt, and just get back that way. I don't know how realistic it is, but it's a plan. It's an idea, and I love planning, especially travel. It's almost as joyful to me as the actual travel. I mean, both are good in different ways. But and if I don't do that, I'm definitely going to do the London thing at another time. And so that's all going to be, so May, June is going to be kind of like travel times. And well, it'll be fun, and I'll take you with, I like to make some videos there too. And then I can sort of, after that, settle down into what's next, my whole life. I'm excited for that. And yeah, I'm going to let you go. I apologize for length, and, maybe I'll make chapters, although it's all kind of connected anyway. And thank you all for watching. Thank you for 1,500. That's plenty. I don't need to be hustling for more, for sure not. And I appreciate you all, and I will talk to you at some point in the future. Bye.